Once in a little town somewhere in Poland, there was a park in the middle of the town. And on one side of the park lived the dogs. Wave, dogs. On this side of the park were the cats. Would you wave, cats? Over across the park were the three queens. And over here are the four dog catchers in the dog catcher station. Now over in the corner are the mice, but we're not going to talk about them for a while. Let's go back to the dogs. And they're the dogs. They just woke up and they said, hey, let's go play in the park. And so they went out to play. But someone was watching. The dog catchers. They had their binoculars. And they were looking out the window through their binoculars. And when they saw the dogs, they said, dogs in the park. Grab your net. The dogs went running back. Here come the dog catchers. Stomp, stomp, stomp. Slam the door, dogs. Slam. Dog catchers stomp across the ground. And they yelled at the dogs. Stay out of the park. And then the dog catchers went back. The next day, the dogs got up and they said, let's go play in the park. And they went out and started playing. But someone was watching them. The dog catchers. Get out your binoculars, dog catchers. And when they saw the dogs, they said, dogs in the park. Grab your net. Go, dogs, go. Slam the door. Here come the dog catchers. Stop, 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 stop. And they said, stay out of the park. And they came back. The next day, the dogs decided not to go to the park. They decided to go see the three queens. So they crawled on the ground over to the queens. And the queen said, what do you dogs want? And they said, we want to play in the park. Well, said the queens, go ahead. But the dog catchers chase us. And the queen said, you must be causing trouble. And the dog said, no, we just want to play. And one of the queens asked them if they're digging up flowers. Ask them if they're scaring children. Ask them if they're digging up flowers. Bushes? And they said, you need a proclamation.
What a proclamation?
It's a big paper that says, by order of the three queens, do not bother the dogs. Would you like that? The dog said, yeah. So the three queens wrote, by order of the three queens, do not bother the dogs if they are not causing trouble. And queens, write it on the paper and sign your name. What's your queen's name? What is your queen's name? Nice. Pass it to your sister. Let her sign her name. What's your queen's name? Nice. Sign your name, Queen Sophia. And pass it to your sister. And what's your name?
Daddy.
Nice. And sign your name. And roll it up and give it to the dogs. And the dog said, we don't know where to put it. Let's take it to our friend the cats. And so they took it over to the cats and gave the paper to the cats. And the dogs went back home. And the cats came out. And the cat said, let's hide it in the tower. And they started walking up the winding steps that went around and around and around and around. Hey, cats, you're in a tower. Come on, over here. Around. Go around and around and around. Up the steps of the tower. And they finally got to the top of the tower, and they brought the paper over here to the corner. And they dropped the paper right below. And then they went back down the steps, and they went back home. Now up in the tower there were 3 mice. And here they come. They said, "Yummy! Paper for breakfast." So they ran across the room. Come on, mice. And they ate the paper. And then they went back. Now the next day, the dogs came out to play. The dog catchers came out. Dog catchers, stand up. And they said, "Dogs, why aren't you running away?"
Why are you running away?
And the dog said, "We have a paper that says, 'Do not bother the dogs.'" And the dog catcher said, "Okay, show us the paper." And the dog said, "Come with us to the cats." "Cats, where's the paper?" The cat said, "Follow us to the tower." They went up, and they came to the top of the tower, and the cats pointed to the place where they had left the paper. But it was not there. They said, "Uh-oh, where's the paper?" And the dog said, "Where's the paper?" And the dog catcher said, "Where's the paper?"
Where's the paper?
Where's the paper? Where's the paper? Where's the paper? They're all following each other. Where's the paper? The dog catchers are saying, "Where's the paper?" And the queens came up and they said, "What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?" And the dogs and the cats and the dog catchers are all saying, "Where's the paper? Where's the paper? Where's the paper? Where's the paper? Where's the paper?" And ever since that day, dogs have chased cats, and cats have chased mice. And that is that. And can you all take a bow and say the end?
And also